Hi, this is Philip Byrne for PhoneScoop.com. Here I'm taking a look at the T-Mobile G2, which is now available on T-Mobile. It's the first handset to use T-Mobile's new HSPA Plus high-speed network. And we'll take a quick tour of the hardware because this is a very cool device. As you can see, it's got a unique hinge slider, so it sort of pops up and out. This does make it slightly thinner when the keyboard is open, but it's not a difference you can feel. I have a feeling that's more of a stylistic touch than anything else. The phone has a camera button here on the side, which is an unfortunate rarity on Android phones. It's got this sort of pop-off battery cover here. Micro SD slot is hidden underneath the battery cover. Up top you get the headphone jack, volume, and an exposed micro USB port. Down here we have an optical joystick. I didn't really think that was too necessary, especially on an Android device. Android does pretty well when you're just using it for touch. Once you start getting the joysticks involved, it's really just too much unless you need to do some fine-tuned text editing. But overall, the hardware feels great. It's a very nice phone. It feels solid. It's high-quality materials. It's got this dark gray soft touch finish, in addition to the brushed metal finish here around the sides, and it makes for a very nice, dense package. It feels like it's a quality build. Might be a little bit heavy, but it still feels like a very nice phone. Now, the interface design on the T-Mobile G2 is a fairly basic Android interface. Some people are a fan of this sort of vanilla Google flavor. I'm not one of those people. I think that HTC with their Sense interface or Motorola with the recent Moto Blur designs have added a lot to the Google Android experience, especially when it comes to social networking. Now, there's a lot of my own personal applications on this phone, but it does come with plenty of Google bloat like Google Finance, Google Sky Map, Google Translate. Some of these are useful and very fun, and some of them are just fun, and some of them are neither useful nor fun. You can't remove a lot of the Google software. It's sort of stuck with that. But you can ignore it. You don't have to leave it on the home screens here, and the phone does give you 7 home screen panels to choose from and fill up with apps and widgets and whatever you like. The keyboard on the T-Mobile G2 is very nice. It's not my favorite keyboard around. I prefer a little bit more bounce to my keys, but it is very well designed. It's got a nice intelligent design. You get a .com key, you get an @ symbol, you get individual keys for the comma, the period, and the question mark. You also get these 3 special keys here that Google lets you customize however you like, so you can press this key, and all of a sudden I'm opening up Google Reader. I press this one over here, and suddenly I've got Twitter open. You can even assign special actions to these keys, like you can assign a navigation shortcut, so just press a key, and all of a sudden you're navigating your way home. So there's some pretty advanced features. It's not just the basic customization options that you'll find on most phones. There's a lot more that Google and T-Mobile let you do with those keys. So how fast is that web browser? Let's find out. I know I'm connected to the HSPA Plus network here, and I'm opening CNN.com. Oh, it opens the mobile site. This was actually a common problem on this browser. CNN will give you the option to check out their full site, but the New York Times will not, at least not on this browser. You cannot read the full New York Times site, and the New York Times is not very cool about it, so there is some content missing from the mobile page. So here you see CNN.com, loads very quickly. So here we're checking out one of the video pages on CNN.com, so you can see the Flash player in action here.
Luxury seating for up to 7. Performance, 6 beds. Maybe you don't have to settle for a minivan. Maybe you don't have to settle. Period.
Of course, it is CNN, so you've got to sit through an advertisement first, but this gives you a good idea of the performance of Flash.
The game had been extremely physical from the start. Chinese players were dissatisfied with a couple of referee calls. They especially disputed the light punishment of a Brazilian.
And if you're interested in speed test results, here you can see what I normally get from HSPA Plus in my area. These results are actually fairly typical, usually hovering between 3.5 to 4.5 megabits, sometimes up to 6 megabits or more. I've been very impressed with the HSPA Plus network, at least here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I also checked it out in San Francisco and Nashville, Tennessee, and got pretty similar results all around. So here you can see some of the gaming performance on the phone. The interface is very speedy and slick, but when it comes to playing games, this is really the best Android device I've tried. I'm loading up Speed Forge Extreme, which is a nice futuristic 3D racing game. You can see the controls are going to be very sensitive, but you also get a really nice frame rate out of the phone too. So really, it's just up to the Android app market to come up with more compelling 3D games like this, because with great hardware, people would definitely buy them. So in the end, the T-Mobile G2 is really a great piece of hardware, but its success is going to mostly rely on how much people like that Google interface, and it's really a very Googleized interface. So some things you get are very cool, like the gallery effects here, which are very neat. But in some ways, Android has really just been left behind. Like the music player on the T-Mobile G2 is pretty much exactly the same as the music player on the original T-Mobile G1. It really hasn't changed much. I still like that you can search automatically from the music player, but it doesn't offer any advanced playback controls or EQ options. It's really just not very impressive for multimedia. So that's the T-Mobile G2. It's a very nice piece of hardware, but it's definitely not the be-all end-all for the Android platform. For PhoneScoop.com, I'm Philip Byrne.